All right. Board meeting, August 28, 2023, to order. Roll call, please.
Trustee Bratton.
Present.
Trustee Brunner.
Here.
Trustee Borford. Here. Trustee Brooklyn.
Here.
Trustee Palmikowski.
Here.
Trustee Calvater. Here. President Layton.
Here, to stand for pledge of allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, we're at public comment. This is an opportunity for anyone to address the village board on any issue. Please observe the time limit of 3 minutes while the village board encourages input from residents. It may not discuss or act on any issue that is not duly noticed on the agenda. Do we have anybody that would like to speak here? All right, do we have anybody on the computer who would like to speak?
No hands.
Okay. We will move to consent agenda. Upon request of any trustee, any item may be removed from the consent agenda for separate consideration under general business. Does anybody have an item they would like removed from the consent agenda?
I'll make a motion to accept the consent.
All right, I have a motion. Do I have a second?
A second.
All right, I have a motion and a second to accept the consent agenda. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same. We'll go to report of village officers. I have nothing to report today.
I have nothing to report.
Other trustees? Doug?
Just wanted to thank everybody and report out on the 20th and final Spike Red event. We had great weather, it was a big success. Thanks for all who participated, sponsored, and my business partners. Remington's, Creekside Scoop, Dottie's, CP Legion, CP Optimus, Lions, Chamber, and CP Baseball. Special thanks to trustees Bratton and Kelcher for volunteering and participating, and trustee Palmikowski for attending all 3 days events. It's in the books, thank you.
Very good, thank you. Anybody else? All right, we'll move to village administrator.
Okay, a couple of very quick announcements here. Starting with grant updates, the flood mitigation grant, the archaeological study had been completed. They had nothing found in that, so the current status is that has been sent back to FEMA for final review. I'll provide an update as soon as I receive their response. Good news, as I have up on the screen, the village was selected for the DNR Knowles Nelson grant. The $245,000 that was received as part of that grant should put us at near 100% of the funding necessary to complete the trail at the KP multi-use path when the Highway KP project begins. I think that's tentatively scheduled for 2026 currently. Next up, village staffing update. I just wanted to say that we had 2 new Parks and Rec department staff join the crew. They just started, and from everything I've heard, they're off to a great start. So welcome to both Jill and Matt. Next up, a quick update on the village road repairs. Park Street has been completed. Glacier's Edge Square, that project has also been completed. We're in the process of getting a few trees ordered for finishing that, but the parking lot portion has been completed. The KP Bridge project, there was a slight delay with that, but they're still working towards completion. That should be done hopefully within the next week or 2. And then the Brewery Road project, we're going to have that covered at general business topic number 1. The last item, the village energy benchmarking program. The village was selected to participate in the Focus on Energy program. I did want to have trustee Palmikowski just provide a really quick update related to that and the sustainability committee's involvement with that plan.
I think we are just in the initial stages of entering some of the electric usage of the 3 facilities that are being examined into the website. And I'm reaching out to the contact person to see what else we have to do to continue the benchmarking program.
That's all.
Alrighty. Village department heads and other reports. Anybody want to report anything? Bobby?
I'm just gonna remind mostly Jay and Judy, the joint review board meeting is September 13th, 6 o'clock. That'll be a Zoom meeting hosted by the county. And then for the board, I think we should have a discussion in the next few months regarding the TID. You'll hear from the Ellers that the TID could close early, possibly 2028. However, we do still receive requests for TID funding, so if we were to give out more TID grants, we wouldn't be able to close early, so we kind of need to just have that discussion what we want to do, if we want to entertain more TID grants, or if we want to plan to close early.
I have a quick question on that. There's like a certain amount in the TID, right? What that we could give out in grants, how much is left, or is that not the case?
Yeah, there isn't, it's not based on a certain pounds. And the closer we get to the end, the fewer years we have to recoup how much we give out in incentive, so that's kind of
The closing of it would be in the black in
Yep.
2020. Not necessarily there's a balance, it just would have paid all instead.
Amen.
oh yeah.
Just so, you said September 13th at 6 p.m.
Yep.
is the meeting?
It's a
It's a
Wednesday.
Wednesday?
Yep. I think that's what we did last year too. with the
Yeah, I'm just disappointed the county always wants to take over our TID, but anyways. I think we should be calling it, but that's all right. All right, let's go to general business, Mike.
I don't have anything for them, but I just want to let everyone know we had our kickoff meeting for the pool feasibility study with architecture and variable products on August 10th. They gave us their kind of kickoff report. They did a current conditions report, very preliminary on our current vessel, along with our building, ADA aspects of our building. They presented that to the pool feasibility committee. It will be presented to the Parks and Recreation Committee in September, and then also the building board, which we brought back to you. At your September meeting.
All righty. We'll go to general business number 1, discussion and possible action, pay request for 2023 street and utility project. I'm guessing that's Brewery Road.
Yep.
I see Brian there.
Request is here this evening.
I'm not gonna make people let me climb over them, so I'll just talk loud. Yes, tonight we have the first pay request for the construction. In case you get a chance to be out on the site, Nick Dorado from our office is also here, one of our engineers helping out with construction observation. We've got 3 requests of the village. One is a pay request, and there are 2 disbursement requests to comply with the state water funding and state sewer funding. So the first, they all cover the same dollars, just sort of a financial choreography we have to do. So the first question is for pay request 1. This goes through what has been built to date. So if you go through the pages of this document, you may recall that the contract, what's called unit price contract, we count how many fire hydrants, how many manholes, how many tons of asphalt, how many feet of sewer main, and they get paid by the foot as they build it. We tally all that up, or Nick tallies it up for me, and we hold back some retainage, as we always do on construction projects, to make sure the contractor continues their work. So far, out of the just under $2 million contract amount, they are requesting $277,148.34. Keep in mind, this is as of the first week of August, just to make sure they have everything in line in time for packets and time for your review. They're about a 30-day lag. So starting now and every board meeting until the project's done, we'll be here to present the pay request. We do recommend approval of this and would ask for a motion or any questions we have.
I'll make a motion to approve the 277-148-34 draw.
I'll second.
I have a motion and a second, any discussion? All right, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same.
The next up will be the disbursement request. So the project is funded in large part by Safe Drinking Water Fund, which is a GNR fund, as well as Clean Water Fund, which is a GNR fund related to sewer. The rest is made up by village funds, some of your ARPA money and other general funds. In order to recover those costs, each month we have to ask the sewer division and then separately the water division to approve those payments for both construction as well as engineering. So the first one is for the sewer. That request, which includes what you just approved, all the construction as well as the sewer portion of our costs during that time, is for $137,083.63. We would request board approval of that, or any questions?
All right, can I have a motion, please?
I'll make the motion to approve the disbursement of $137,000, $137.83.68.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
All right, I have a motion and a second, any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same. So move.
And then lastly would be the safe drinking water, that is the water main brother of the sewer side. This one's much less in amount, because this first month they worked primarily on sanitary sewer items. They didn't really do much water main work. But there was some, so we'll be requesting that from the state. We do recommend approval of a disbursement request on the water side for $34,924.26. And certainly we'll take any questions from the board.
All right, can I have a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the water request as presented for $34,924.26.
Okay, I have a motion and a second, any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same. Since we have you here, Brian, I've been looking at the culvert that they put under Brewery Road there, the double. And I'm not an engineer, this is just a layperson's looking at it. It seems like there's not as much capacity, it seems like the creek goes well over half of that, and I'm just wondering if that's the exact same, because it looks like it's not gonna take much for the water to start backing up under there, but it might be just because it's two instead of big one and it's a visual thing. But the capacity is supposed to be exactly the same, right?
The capacity is exactly the same. It's actually it's a modeling software that FEMA and DNR require that engineers use. It's sensitive enough that we don't do it. We actually subcontract that out to the same folks that helped during the flood. But yes, the capacity is set up to be exactly.
Okay.
And specifically, exactly at that 100-year event, so that we're not releasing more water downtown in those.
Yeah, no, I understood
smaller
it.
events. It may be, in fact, it will behave a little bit differently than the single round
Mhm.
culvert that you had before, partly due just to geometry, but partly due to there's two of them now, so that you're gonna hit the roof sooner. Drainage pipe performs in one way when it's gravity, so it's how fast is gravity pulling water through there,
Okay,
and becomes an entirely different scheme when it's converted to pressure flow. So when it's being called surcharge, so in fact, backing up water, once you hit the ceiling and then go 1 inch above it, now it's both gravity pulling and pressure pushing water through it. So we'll see that phenomenon in sanitary sewers all the time, storm sewers all the time. It's just underground, so you won't see it. But it will, if someone was out there the last 100 years and counted how many times that water hit the ceiling of the round one, probably only once every couple of years. These are gonna hit it more regularly because they're just shorter. But because there's two of them and because of that pressure component, it is exactly.
All right. My concern is I just don't want the water to run down our brand new road.
Oh my gosh, no, yes, yes, yes.
So I didn't know if you had a design where it would go over the road and then back down and it wouldn't go down.
Maybe in the 100-year
Okay.
event, again, for the same reasons, but in the 2, 10, 25, 50, it'll
All right.
behave exactly the same. Yeah, we took great pains to set those exactly as modeled and to be modeled exactly as being.
Thank you.
If,
Just a schedule on the timeline of questions, does, get on schedule, ahead of schedule a little bit?
I would say probably on or maybe slightly ahead. We've got 2 pipe crews working right now. They expect to have the underground work done yet this week, and a road crew start to just chase everybody north. So yeah, we feel very comfortable with where they're at, and they've thrown a good number of guys on.
Very good, thank you.
Anybody else? Thank you, Brian.
We unless anybody else needs us for anything, we may tap out.
No, that's great.
Thank you.
Thanks, Brian.
All right, discussion and possible action, village assessment, services proposal. Audie?
So our current assessor that we've had for, the last 10+ years, Associated Appraisal, they're kind of out of, Appleton area, they're a statewide company, did let us know that they were not gonna auto renew our contract for next year, they wanted to redo their pricing structure. And so then they'd also been contacted by Accurate Appraisal, they wanted to bid our services also. I did reach out to 2 other companies that do business in Wisconsin, one didn't reply back at all, and the other one said they weren't taking new clients. So I do have both of the proposals in the packet, and there are representatives from both companies here to talk, and answer questions. We wanna go ahead with that. I think the first proposal in the packet is from Accurate Appraisals, so if they would like to speak first.
Sure, that's fine with me.
Sure. Can everybody hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Hi, my name is Chris Plowman. I work at Accurate. I've been with Accurate for about 5 years now. Really, I just kind of want to talk about maybe the differences between us and some other assessors across the state. Our main focus is education first. I don't know if you guys have much in social media. I know that the future of communication just in general seems to be digital, right? Most people have cell phones. Most people communicate in email. They're used to communicating over the phone too. But that's something that we definitely strive for, is just technology. Obviously, education is one of our big things. We post twice a week on social media. You can check us out on Facebook and LinkedIn. It's just basic education and trying to get property owners to understand, how a mill rate works, or what's the difference between, a myth and fact of how the assessment process works. So we're really focused on that, as well as with our software. So we actually focus with a company called Prolorum. It's completely digital, so all of the data that we use for assessing is shared online for free for everyone in your community. It's live, so we actually assess in the field. So we don't send assessors out with paper anymore. They go out with a computer. They take pictures live with their phone, update the information. So everything is live. If you have like realtors calling in asking for questions about property information, they no longer have to call in and get that information. They can just go onto our website and find it really easily. So, and the nice thing is, because we're updating that information live, everything is right at their fingertips whenever they need it. And the other piece that we do as well is we offer an extended open book period. So you guys are going to be needing what's called an interim market update coming up. And we offer basically, as soon as the property owner gets their notice in the mail, it starts the open book process. They can contact our office at any time, all the way up until about 7 days before the board of review. And that just gives them more freedom and flexibility, instead of having, 1 or 2 days where someone has to take off of work and meet with an assessor face to face. We offer kind of a shortened face-to-face version, and then just more time over the phone for them to have more access to us as assessors. Other than that, it's really, again, technology, transparency, and just making sure that we're educating property owners. So if they call us during an open book period, most of the time people are asking, what is going on? Why is my value changing, right? They just kind of want to know that process. So all of our assessors are trained to explain the process of the assessment to them, explain how they got to their value, and then share anything like the sales analysis or the modeling or any of the uniformity values that we have with them, so they understand why their value is where it is. So let's just kind of cap off a couple of things that we really kind of do differently than most other assessors. So does anybody have any questions for me?
Oh, yeah, we have one. Judy?
For doing that, do we have to update any software, or can they just do it when you do it, that they can go on and see it? Is it a different software for us?
So the software isn't really the software is different. We would be able to give you access if you want to be able to see like the back end notes or anything like that. But you would have access to one account coordinator. So if you needed a report for something, like let's say you wanted the top 10 taxpayers in the area, you would just contact your account coordinator. They would get you that report whenever you need it. Our turn time is usually 24 to 48 hours. We do have access through Teams as well. So I don't know if you use Microsoft Teams, but a lot of our other clerks are connected to us directly, so they can just send us a quick message and we can get them back quick information. So you're not waiting for an email to come back to you. So
Thank you.
Anybody else? Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
yep, you're welcome.
And then next is, Ugly Market Associated.
Yeah, good evening. Can everybody hear me?
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah, so thanks for having us. Again, Associated Appraisal, we've been your assessor now for approximately 9 years. Just with the change in, parcel counts, the amount of work that we're doing for the village each year, we did have to take a look at, what the service costs are for this next, 3 or 5 years, depending on how long you want to sign up for. And so there was an increase in the cost. I did put in that proposal an option for conducting the interim market update. As you're aware, the last revaluation we conducted for you was back in 2018, and that was an on-site, full inspection, every property conducting walkthroughs. Given it was recent, you do have the option to just do a more of a statistical, behind the computer type revaluation, which is an interim market update. So you're not doing the on-site inspections. But certainly if the village was interested, we can conduct another, maybe an exterior reval or something like that, if that's something you want to pursue. We are conducting that for your neighbors, the town of Cross Plains. They're a new client for us this last year, so they're going to do one in 2024. And then just looking at your guys' compliance, you're not going to be required to do a reval until 2026, so you still do have a little bit of time yet. As you're aware, we've been your assessor. Bob, you can, talk to how we help property owners and are available all the time to answer any questions. People can call us or email us anytime. Information on property records are on our website. Again, if you guys have any questions, I'm more than happy to answer them.
All right. Does anybody have any questions? All right. Thank you. Appreciate it, Mark. All right, so Bobby, what was the outcome you want tonight on this?
I don't know that we need to make a final decision tonight. I guess, main request was knowing that we'll need to do a reval or the interim market update, that we do a more than a 1-year contract and spread out that cost over like a 5-year contract. Both companies offered that service. Just looking at the numbers, Accurate's proposal is less. So if we're doing just based on numbers, that would be the winner. It's put in my memo that I did reach out to some Dane County communities that use Accurate. Got both positive and negative feedback. Associated I didn't get other feedback, as far as I'm aware, we've been satisfied with them, I haven't had any. Residents call and complain about them, so I guess if we like the service we're getting and we wanna pay a little more, we can stay with who we have. Or if we wanna be concerned about the cost only, we would switch. We wanna think about it, or if you have more information you want me to gather, I'm happy to do that.
What are people's thoughts?
Is it fair to ask for the examples of bad interactions?
Yeah, I can provide that to you.
Right, anybody else?
We'll look it up right now.
You can send it to me in an email, or if you wanna send it to all of us, so it's not out in the
Sure.
public.
I guess I'd be curious on what is your recommendation?
I mean, maybe.
You're the ones that deal with them
Right.
then.
We've worked with Nick at Associated and I feel he's been really good. He's, sat through the board review and answered all of Michael's questions.
Yeah.
Like I said, I don't have any bad thoughts towards them. I don't know how much work it is to switch, if that's, a lot of headache or not. I don't know what that process looks like.
But do people want some time to think about it?
I think that would be important to know too, what that would entail. Because
Okay,
I think
yeah.
that would be, I mean, if it's a lot of work, that would be pretty strongly.
Right, or if they can just, the new company would just take the old company's word for what the assessments are for next year.
How about if we do this? This would be, because the price is going up, we would probably have to do a supplement for the base budget, which is what we'll be discussing next month. Why don't you put in a supplement with the pros and cons of each one?
Okay.
That way we can discuss it with, the base budget discussion. That would be consistent then. Everybody okay with that?
Great.
Go ahead, Cameron.
Sorry, just to make sure I kind of have at least the high level summary. The people and the cost difference at least accurate, we're looking at if we went with a 5-year contract with the market update. 76.8 total. And then for the other one, 105 total.
Yes.
And we would probably be going that route because we would need the market update anyway.
Right, we don't need it right away, but
Right,
within
but
5
within
years.
5 years. we'll need
Yeah.
it, So we want to make, okay, I was just making sure I have all.
So yeah, it's about $30,000 difference. Significant.
All right. Well, that sounds good. I think we're got the next step on this. All right, we'll go to number 3, discussion and possible action, village compensation strategy. Brian, or who's taking it?
Yeah, so in your packet this evening is kind of the updated final proposal information that the village department has put together for your consideration. We've modified a few things, which Bobby will touch on during her little presentation here, but more or less tonight, the hope is to be able to have a discussion on the merits of the policies of the proposed plan and the salary scale implementation here in the village. Again, we did look at some comparable communities, which we're trying to measure ourselves with as an ongoing gauge of where we stand as a community. So tonight's kind of the culmination of all of our efforts for the last 8+ months.
Right, so like Brian said, we did make some changes based on feedback to the plan, so that's in the packet also, but first of all, we did put together this little presentation that kind of gives some overview, answers some questions that maybe you have or will have. First of all, we just started with our objective that the department heads came up with. We've been working on this plan for, the whole year so far, 8 months, so we had an objective, and a mission statement there. Read that whole word for word. about our mission there, to be regionally competitive within the industry, provide transparent avenues for employee growth and advancement, and to provide long-term continuity of village services via employee retention. So I think our plan meets our mission very well. Regionally competitive, we were kind of going back and forth who we wanted to compare ourselves to. What we did was, to who are we losing employees to? Well, they're going to, Middleton, Mount Horeb, Verona, and Waukee, and we know that we can't match their salaries, but we thought, hey, if we can pay, 75 or 80% of what they're paying, employees would stay here. It's kind of what our reasoning was for that. And then the transparent avenues, if every new hire was given, a roadmap of what they're gonna get the next year, that'll help. Keep it transparent. And then that brings in the employee retention also. So employees know what they're getting into, and I just think it helps us as staff when our employees have been here and have that experience and knowledge of the village. I think it saves money and time if we can retain knowledge. All right, so we did keep with the 10 pay grades, and then each grade has a 10-step longevity program. Step 1 of each grade is we took the 2022 salary schedule that was approved, and just kind of bumped those numbers up for inflation since then. And then the longevity scale, we originally had 3% for each step. We did change that based on feedback and kind of looking at other communities' plans. They front load that where you get like 3%, 3%, 3%, 2%, 2%, 1%. Then there are 3 exhibits. You can stay there, Brian.
Let's stay here. Okay.
Yep. At the end of the plan, exhibit 1 is the salary scale. And then, so that's where they can move. Then the grade scale. Oh, so that's where we said each position, you can be hired at one of 3 grades, and that depends on your education level, your experience level. That is all mapped out in that proposed grade scale. We kind of defined, I think we call them entry level, skilled, and advanced. So when we hire a new employee, we look at, entry level is what's on the job description. When we post a job, like these are the minimum requirements for the job, so that's considered entry level. And then if someone comes in and they, we're working in Black Earth in a similar position, they might be skilled or advanced, depending on where they fall on that. And then exhibit C, we did leave in the performance evaluation. We did take out the part where your longevity increases based on a satisfactory performance. All this plan says is you have to do a performance evaluation. That way we're making sure everyone's being held. So it's not like you have to be really good or whatever. It's just, hey, we're doing this. And if there are issues, you're making a plan to correct them. All right. All right, so as I was talking about, entry level is minimum job descriptions. And then the step 1 entry level salary is the 70 to 80% of our house. So we did get questions to what we're gonna do with current employees, because obviously our plan is when we hire a new person, it's easy to implement it for a new hire. So this part of the plan is not really what we're looking for you guys to vote on tonight. The integrating the current employees, that's more of a budget type discussion. But what we're proposing is we looked at each person and determined what grade they are based on which one they could be, and then any employee who's been here 5 years or less is just in a step one. If you've been here between 5 and 15 years, which is only 2 of our employees, you're in step 2, and now we have a bunch of dedicated employees that have been here more than 15 years, and they would start out in step 3. We do have, I think, 4 employees who would already have their salary be above that placement. And so we think they should get at least a 3% increase, so that's the minimum. And then we do have a handful of employees who would be bumped up quite a bit. And so then we're proposing a cap. The suggestion here is $7,000. That's, you know, something that you guys would have to discuss if you agree with that, or if you don't want to have or want lower, you know, that's something. This part can be discussed during budget discussion. So this is just the numbers based on our proposal. So, you know, at 2023, this is what wages were, and then in 2024, what the increase would be. So total increase would be about 101,000. 82,000 of that is on the tax levy. And then I bumped it down again another year to see what the impact would be 2 years from now. This November, that's another, you know, 39,000 following year.
Can we just, may I add?
Yeah.
So I'm trying to follow. So the tax levy part for when you say, how much is on the tax levy? That's the tax part, the rest are broken down, so it's 82,000 the first year, 31,000 the second.
Yep.
Am I reading that right?
Yep.
Okay.
And then this does not include Brian's position because he can
Right,
negotiate.
it's a
And then,
contract, yeah.
the 4 officers that are currently in a union, we didn't throw them in this.
Okay.
Because that's,
Nor EMS or fire.
right, because they are not our employees.
Well, police are kind of our employees, but.
Well,
No, I said EMS.
Yeah.
No, I know.
EMS is-
yeah.
EMS or.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Keep going, Bobby, or?
I think that's the end of the slide, so I don't know, if, you guys have any questions on just this part, or if we wanna look at the actual plan itself and take questions, or?
Does anybody have any questions on, the PowerPoint?
Anyone, did you look to see if it would be possible, like, could someone come in and end up getting placed higher than current employees? If that was something we had run into. Like.
Right, yep, so if we had a current employee who had been here, maybe they, well, he was a public works guy. So
Right.
maybe we hired someone right out of high school, so they're kind of entry level, step 1, or, you know, they've been here a year or 2, step 2 or 3. And then we have an opening, and we get someone who is coming from, you know, Mazo or Black Earth, and they have, you know, 15 years of experience, they're probably gonna start a grade higher. So they could be.
I was thinking more of that like medium range, because you know, like how you're capping the rate, like people who would be placed much higher, but you're putting a cap on the raise. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know if there's anyone.
Right, so I think where our current employees would fall, if we were to hire a new person, they probably wouldn't be
Okay.
higher than a current.
Okay, that's fair.
Yeah,
Okay, great.
Doug and then Judy.
I was curious how the cap of 7,000, how that dollar amount came to be. If it was just taken on the kids.
I pulled a couple of department heads, and that was kind of the average. And we're just trying to not spend all of our money that we have available. We, you know, we wanna be fair to, we know other people are, EMS has some asks, and, you know, obviously mowing's gonna be a thing, the assessment contract's gonna go up, so we know we need to,
So it's kind of a way to control it.
yes.
And
Yeah, I mean, we've been trying to work around the shared revenue funds as best we can to be good stewards of that and not exceed those figures. So trying to come up with some figures that worked within that, that was sort of the discussion point.
So I have Judy, then Cameron, you want it? Okay.
Yeah, so mine's kind of awkward, she's asking, when I look at the exhibit A, where it says salary scale, and I meant to ask you this earlier today, sorry, we're on the very bottom, it says step one, grade one, it's 42,500. So would that mean anyone that's coming in that's full-time, that would be the minimum that they would make?
Yes.
That's our starting for any.
Cameron?
I was just curious, Brian, if you could actually, I'm sorry, you're scrolling down.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
Scroll
Go
up
back.
to the second to last, slide in Bobby's deck. I'll call it that. I was just curious, so I see the delta between 23 and 24, the like theoretical delta here. That makes sense to me, and then I was just curious, they're curious about the 38.8 extra on from the 24 to 25 delta. Is that just like based on like, where people would start climbing the grades and stuff based on how long they've been here and stuff, or?
So it's moving everyone essentially one step on the longevity, so it'd be like a 3% step. The only way employees can move grades is if they've met the requirements for a new grade, but then they would have to come to the village board and request to be changed a grade. So you just move, you kind of move automatically this way, but to move up, you have to meet certain qualifications.
Right, okay, so that
The 2025 increase is just moving.
everyone's sliding
Yeah.
up on the seniority. I forgot now who was greater, the other one, but yes, step, thank you. Okay, thank you.
Right, Doug?
How our department has feeling about this process and proposal.
We have been working together on this, having monthly meetings, sometimes extra meetings. So I'm hoping everyone in favor, and sounds like this isn't just my work. I was
Right.
The chosen one.
This was a collaborative effort from all
Yes.
department heads trying to address the needs in the best way that we could, given parameters that we had to work within.
Chief, did you want to say something?
Yeah, for us, it's, it's, the plan is a plan, right, and we've worked on it for 8 months. It leaves out, my nucleus of my staff is in the union, so, the compensation plan can't really work for them in the way it's built. However, it does build a foundation for when you do negotiate, that this is the compensation plan that you're going with. It's a very well thought out plan, I think. We spent, you got your money's worth, you didn't pay any money for a compensation plan. We did the best we could with what we have. But I do think that the department heads are pretty happy with the plan. Obviously, things have been thrown out like EMS and there's gonna be some asks. But this plan is very well thought out, and it required all of us to be on the same page, which sometimes we're not, but on this, we were. So I think it speaks volumes that's being presented.
Yeah, and I guess just to follow up, my preference is going to be to reopen the contract. I just don't think it's fair not to include all employees. So that'll be that's where I think we should go.
I appreciate that, for sure.
Cameron?
We would take that to the EMS and fire board, I imagine, as well.
No, well, unfortunately, they decide on what it is.
Right, but just bringing the topic of if we did something, this is what we did with village staff.
Oh, yeah,
Large percentage.
at
of
least
people
for
here are village staff.
EMS, I've already shared that. Their ask was mighty, very mighty. So I am hoping that we'll put that, Bobby.
You can finish and then I'll.
So that is correct. So I will definitely share. I've already done a matrix for them on that.
I was gonna say, Brian and I met with Tabitha at EMS, so they are asking for a certain amount to increase their wages. But they've also looked at their revenues, and because their call volumes have increased a lot, they're gonna be increasing their budgeted revenues by almost the same amount. So if, even though it sounds.
That is not correct. I might say, because it was a public meeting.
I was gonna say.
They're asking for the 4 employees, they're asking a pay increase of 58,000.
Yep.
And because we use um. Fund balance for the new position earlier this year, we'll have to make up 69,000. Granted, the estimate is we'll bring in potentially 50,000 more in revenue, but there's still a substantial amount, and we pay for almost 60% of that. I think that's too much, but she has done her work and she has how much everybody's increased in state revenue. And she was under the impression it had to go to EMS, fire, and police. So, just, there's, you know, I don't want to throw it because I'm trying to deal with that with the board and everything, but, that is something the board does and then tells us, and fire, you were there, we're at about 15,000 with, open-ended potential salary increase. So we have to keep that all in mind, and we don't have a whole lot of control over that. So like I say, that's what we'll be doing when we get into September, October. That's when we really get down to looking at all these numbers and what we can afford. Jerry?
Yeah, I just wanna address your, question about other department heads, being happy with what we're proposing. Yes, we are. It's a major step for employees from what has existed for the last 30+ years in Cross Plains. And I would encourage you to go take a vote on the policy tonight. Your way to do that, that would be one item picked off the list for through the really smooth things out and go into the budget process. All right,
Bobby, you wanna do anything else?
Oh,
Oh,
just kind of based on what Jerry said there, the plan is similar to, you know, our comprehensive plan, our parks and open space plan, our CIP plan. It's a plan. So passing this plan tonight does not say we're gonna spend $100,000 next year. That part is a different piece we'll discuss as part of the budget. So passing the plan does not obligate us to spend this, you know.
thank you. Cameron, and then I want to speak.
And I just wanted to clarify, if we did pass the plan, though, that would be something that would go into effect for like new hires.
Correct.
And then, as you said, in the budgeting process, we figure out what to do with the existing. Okay.
Well, see, I'm gonna disagree a little bit on that. We're doing a plan which they are recommending. I think in October, when we talk about wages and benefits, that's when we lock in on the numbers. So I just want to make really clear, because I'm gonna support the plan, but I'm not supporting everything in it until we see financially where we're at. If that makes sense to everybody, we aren't discussing each person's raise or what it is. That's all gonna come in October. So what we're doing is, this is what this group has come up with a compensation strategy. And that's what, to me, that's what it is, strategy or plan. Now, in October, we see how much of it we can implement. That's how I'm looking at it, just so everybody knows.
For current employees, just to.
For everybody.
Yeah, okay.
For everybody. Like I say, I think this is great work. I think there's a great strategy here. But the question is, we may decide when it comes wages and stuff, instead of 18%, we may go 15% and redo the numbers. But we may say, well, we don't know about this grade and this. I think until you get all the numbers and we get everything to talk about it, I think this is a strategy and a plan like's been presented. And then once we get it implemented into the budget, then it becomes solid.
Yeah, I would just agree that I like the process work and the policy work that's been done. And I think, it's a good one.
Yeah, absolutely. But it may take 3 years instead of 2 years to get there. That's all I'm saying.
Yep.
Michael?
I have one question. On that one slide, when you say for 2025, all you did was a 3% raise, you just moved everybody up with staff. There really isn't a strategy for people that are like at the 15 years plus that you put in step 3 after. It's kind of, that's the nebulous area of the whole strategy, right?
Right, the other question
Like what happens in 2026, 27, this is
Right.
where. You know, it's a strategy, and as it clearly says in here, the board has the power to adjust wages by ordinance at the budget time.
in a similar question was raised, the employees who are capped at the $7,000 raise, you know, is there a plan to get them to what they should have gotten? You know, so those are discussions we haven't really.
In the future.
And that would be part of the budget process of looking how we can get to this. It might not be in 1 year or 2 years. It may take 3.
Yeah, I think if there was anything that was agreed upon by the department heads was that this was a strategy, but we all agree that this is the first phase of what we hope to be a greater, you know, revisiting.
The only, so that's mine on this. The only other comment I would ask for the October, you make reference a couple times of the 70 to 80% of Middleton, Mount Horeb, Wanakee, Verona, thank you. Are you gonna give us the numbers so we can see that where the comparisons? I think that would be a good document to include.
And
Judy?
after that, and is it way too late to try to do other towns that are closer to our size? Would they're getting paid at all, just so that we know? Like a Black Earth or needs a wooden step down or whatever.
The problem with comparing to them is we're not losing employees to them, like they're not our competition as an employer. We were trying to,
Are they losing employees to us?
yes.
Okay, that's curious.
All right, so we don't, I mean, we've seen the actual report a couple times now, unless people want to go through it again. Are we ready to have a motion? Her PowerPoint kind of summarized it.
I would make the motion to approve the village cost plans compensation strategy as presented.
Well, second.
Okay, I have a motion and a second. Any more discussion on that? All right, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same. All right. Number 4, thank you guys for doing that. I think it's a great document to start off of. All right, discussion and possible action, village hiring authorization policy. Brian, you wanna?
Yeah, but give me just 1 second here to throw this up on the screen. Okay, this topic, this was something that the department had mentioned to me a few times in passing over the last year. I could not locate an official policy. I think this might be just kind of an assumed policy that the practice of bringing back any positions that need to be reposted require board approval before a department head can repost a position. This essentially is just a memo outlining and asking for that flexibility to be placed within the department head at a time of a departure, provided that the position they're looking to fill within their department does not exceed currently authorized budgetary limits, that they be able to go out and post that vacancy announcement without seeking board approval.
All right, let's just have, I'm all for it. I think it saves time. We only meet once a month, so there could be a 30-day delay in posting something. I think if we got into a situation where we didn't want staff positions filled because we're in a financial bind, then we come up with a policy or a memo saying we're putting a freeze on hiring, and that would solve that. Judy?
I would like to see, could you at least just email, and it's not a quorum, but just email us saying, hey, Brian left, so we are gonna be posting for this position, so at least we know somebody left and that you're posting it. Or whatever, just keep us aware, because otherwise we're gonna hear it over the street, we might not hear it otherwise. I mean, that I'd appreciate.
I think that
Would
would
that
be.
be a requirement from department heads or from just?
Just so that keeps us aware, because when they are talking about it on the street, we're like, oh, I didn't know that.
I would
Yeah,
think
yeah.
it should go through Brian,
Yeah.
because there's gonna have to be someone authorizing it, so it'll
Yeah,
probably
that's
be
fine.
Brian, the department heads go to Brian, and then he shoots out an email to all of us, so we're aware of it.
That's fair.
That's how I would see it going down.
I like it.
And, are you gonna write this up then?
I can, yeah, if you want me to actually formalize a policy or
Yeah, I
something,
think
I
we
can put
should.
something together and bring it
Yeah,
back.
it should just be a
Okay.
paragraph or two, but I think there should be with, stipulations, if it's a new position, it's gotta come back, or you need more money, it needs to come back,
Well, the new position wouldn't be coming back, they'd be coming to us for the first time because it's a new position, right?
yeah,
Okay,
yeah, what I'm saying is we're not authorizing them to just hire, what we're doing is if someone quits, they can go ahead and post it right away and just notify us. If it falls within what we're already budgeted. Does that, and just make a policy for it,
Yep,
we have it written down and documented for when the next people come.
I just have a question with regards to like police officers, police commission hires them, so how would you gotta cover it in the policy?
I would do the same way, they fall under the same thing, it's, Brian would give you authorization to go to the commission and post it. Cause the commission does the hiring and firing and promotion, but they don't control budget, so it's got, if we don't fund the position, then it's not there. So. All right, can I have a motion, or did we already?
I don't think we need.
We didn't do a motion.
We don't want a motion,
Oh, no, we just didn't do one. Yeah.
I think we need a motion, because it's kind of a change of policy.
yeah, but
Let's see, you're creating a policy.
Oh, I see what you're saying, then bring it back once it's written.
Yeah.
Approve it, all right.
Yeah. That's fine.
All righty. Number 5, discussion and possible action regarding the 2024 capital improvement projects. We'll take them one at a time. A. Brian, you want to take this?
Sure. So the very first item is to cover and authorize the borrowing for the engineering and or architectural services related to the new village hall and police station. The figure that was utilized was 10% of the allotted budget for the project cost of the village hall police station. The recommendation for the source of funds was geo borrowing for this.
All right. Do I have a motion?
What question, I guess.
All right.
Okay.
Well, no, we can do it now or at the discussion part, but go ahead.
You've told me before, and I keep forgetting, where have we gotten that 4.5 million number?
We have gotten that from using the 15,000 square foot amount that came from the 2013 feasibility study at the $300 to $350 per square foot.
So if we're targeting 10%, I mean, I guess. If that's the size building, we're still looking at building, that tells me 4.5 is probably too low, right?
Well, we were just talking about that. Windsor just did a bid. Theirs is 30,000 and it came in at 12 or 10.
I think it was 14 or 15.
Oh, I don't know. I talked with the vice president of Ideal Builders, and he says, and there's the office building that was fairly new on Airport Road that they built. They did that for between the 300 and 350, and I think that's a nice looking building. I mean, I guess we're gonna find out, right? And
Right, I just want to make sure that we're budgeting the right amount.
yeah, well, here's the thing. I think this is a starting point, and if we get RFQs that are all over this, then I guess we'll be coming back and talking about that, and we'll have that way before we do borrowing. Because we'll probably after November, we've got the paperwork pretty much drafted to send out RFQs, within this year, get them back in January. We're probably not gonna borrow until spring, I would think. That's when we usually borrow. So we have some time to modify it. I just don't wanna do over and that, you know, look like we're padding it. This is the number, the best number we came up with.
Is the Economic Development Authority, is that still on the table?
Oh, yeah, we've
Yeah,
met
we're
twice.
already meeting. Mhm.
Yeah. But we can't get loans until we get the architectural work done. Any other questions? I think this is the logical next step for us. We've planned this out. I think we had a really good implementation strategy. This is the next step, and hopefully, in 2025, we'll start construction and get a project done.
So,
Go ahead, Michael.
just to clarify what you said, we're gonna send out our RFPs, so those would come back before we approve any disbursement of this 450. To the
Oh,
board.
absolutely.
That's what I'm just making sure that
Yeah.
they come back and if things are all over the place, we can adjust accordingly.
Absolutely.
And game tying us into doing this absolutely. is
Right.
the question.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. I think, what we had talked about is just the architect would do the programming too, so there'd be obviously meeting with village staff, having 2 community meetings. One just, they're not gonna design the police station, but what the outer looks like, what maybe of some amenities, what the community room should function. And then the architects would take all that, come back with renderings, and then there'd be another meeting for feedback, and that's kind of what would be included on that.
Okay. And in doing that, I don't know, I guess they would then give us an estimate of what they think is gonna cost. to build
Yes,
this thing,
I would
right?
put in that contract that they would do at least 2 cost estimates. And there's a company in Middleton that does a lot of that. So we would have some ideas. Any other questions? Cameron?
Kind of like what we did with the pool, and I know we've had some conversations even as far back as when I was on the planning committee, but just kind of like making sure we're going to the engineers with, a little more specifics of this is the stuff we're looking for instead of just this is the size building we're looking for. I know you've done a ton of work on this. And just like, is there some sort of like level higher, you want to bring this to other groups or whatever and get feedback or whatever?
Well, yeah, the staff will, that's part of the programming, the first step.
Okay.
They'll come and meet with staff, what their needs are. And then they'll try to come up with a plan that meets all their needs and maximizes the space that we have. Yeah, originally I thought we wouldn't have to do that, and that would save 2%. Because we spent so much money in 2013, but that is such a different layout, because that was basically this spot here. So, I think we should just spend that extra 2%, get the professionals to do it. Judy? Yeah, sure.
I'll just make a motion to approve the capital improvement plan for the village hall / police station architect engineer project for $450.
I'll talk it. Right, I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed, the same. Can we just do B and C together? You want? I don't see any reason not to, so, we'll do B and C, and that's, replacing 2 of our squads.
C is a server.
Yeah, server.
Oh, I'm sorry. I can't read. I thought it was squad. Okay, never mind. We're just doing B then. They aren't close together. That would have been an interesting discussion.
I was a little confused.
Yeah.
Maybe he just wants Tony to not.
I'm sorry. Let's do B, squads.
You want me to give you an overview?
You can, yeah.
So we are asking to replace squad, 2016 and the 2017. In actuality, I probably should have made a request last year, but I tried to limp it along and it's just doing just that. We are probably gonna have to replace an engine in 2016 and a transmission in 2017. in the coming months. They are being kind of nickel and diming us. They've cost us thousands of dollars in the last couple of years just to keep them going. Anytime you keep squads for 7, 8 years, it's just gonna be very difficult. They're not run like a normal car. They're going from call to call, they're idling for hours and hours and hours and they're zooming back and forth and it's just not easy. Places like Middleton, they keep their squads for 4 years and then they replace them. The city that I came from before taking over this department, we were doing 5-year interval, every 5 years we're switching them. So the reason they're back to back is because of I should have probably asked for one last year and that's my fault. I should have just put in for it. But as you guys remember, last year we were asked to, to just be mindful of our request. So I thought I could limp it along, but that I can't limp it along any further. I need your support on this. Our squads are vital to services, and it's very important that my staff be able to get the calls and feel confident in the vehicles that they're driving. Unfortunately, squads are going up and up and up, and there's not much I can do about it. Ford is doing a better job of equipping the squads. So lighting packages are already kind of embedded in there. But if you were to take out the lighting, it would be the same if I had to put in lighting. They're not saving us a whole ton of money, but they are equipping them a little better. The numbers you have in front of you came from Middleton Ford. They get the state bid. They said for me to plan for about 5% increase. They didn't have the final numbers, but they thought those numbers they'd be comfortable. And then if they're higher, obviously, then you would make up the savings. We have 3 squads that we need to get rid of. The 16 and 17 will both go to auction, and then in 2021, I hung on to the 2013, which I was hoping we'd use to train, but that one's even worse than the other 2. So we haven't really used it, and it's just sitting in the garage ready to be auctioned off. Last time we bought a car was in 2021, and we sold a 2009 Crown Victoria. If memory serves me correctly, got a little over $3,000 for that auction. So even if we could get $3,000 for each one of these squads, we'd be doing okay. At least you'd get $9,000-$10,000 to recoup some of this. The quotes that you see in front of you are the same places I used in 2021. Nothing's changed except for the price. Everything's gone up. Any questions?
I guess it's not this, well, I got a question and comment. I just want to share with the group when I saw the option for hybrids, the Madison Police Department went to those about 5 years ago, and the county did too. Right now, the person who's in charge of the fleet for the Madison Police Department, which is over 240 vehicles, they are totally opposed to the hybrids for 2 reasons. They ordered 26 that were supposed to come in last fall. It was canceled, and they're only allowed to order 15. So there's a real problem with the number, that accessibility, and there's a huge problem with maintenance with them. If I have not taken the trip there, but he said all you have to do is drive by Kaiser Ford on the east side. Their back parking lot looks like it's a police station. There's so many squads. One of their squads has needed $40,000 worth of repairs, and they have 5 of them that have been at Kaiser for 6 months waiting. So and the county has totally stopped purchasing hybrids. They're going back to gas. So I'm in favor of the squads, but I would stay with gas until maybe the rumor is Ford's coming on with an all-electric squad potentially in 2025. So while I'm all for sustainability and stuff, we don't have that many squads that if 1 is or 2 are at the shop for that long. We need reliability, and I think gas is still the way with that. And then my question is, since those squads come with a lot of lights, can our current light bars fit on the current one?
No, actually some of the light bars we've had to replace bulbs by using other ones. They're not good light bars. they're starting to fail.
Okay.
And then to add to your comment, your original comment, the only reason I provided the hybrid is to stay within our policies and those things, and I fully agree with sustainability. I would not be in favor of buying a hybrid model, because if we lost the squad, you're losing a third of your fleet. So to me, it just would not be beneficial at all.
Are there other manufacturers besides Ford?
Does Chevy still make
I think Chevy and Dodge, they still do some stuff, but a lot of that is focused on trucks. And departments are getting the trucks, but Ford has just been the kind of the leader of the pack. I just went to a Chiefs conference and they had all kinds of stuff, and I did talk to some Ford dealers that were talking about the fully EV. Their better estimate was 3 to 5 years, once they'll iron out all the bugs. And so when you're replacing the 2021, I would say there might be a really good option for an electric vehicle. I mean, there are some upfront costs like this charging stations and those kind of things, but I mean, you're probably gonna go that route anyway at the new department. So in the future, that would be great.
Dodge did the Chargers. The problem was there were so many blind spots on those, they were getting in accidents all the time.
I was thinking,
What's that?
I don't think they make the charge.
Oh, they don't? Okay.
I was thinking more along the lines of the Durango.
Oh.
Just because you have a vehicle that's had the same body style and the same technology that they worked out all the bugs on.
Yeah,
And
it's just that these squads, they are built differently. They have stiffer suspension, and the electrical system is because they draw so much electric, with the in-car video, the radio, the printers and all that.
And well,
You need that. Oh, yeah, you
that's why
are.
I was asking if there was an option other than Ford.
Yeah.
We've got to add extra precautions to the squads, like for instance, we charge them every night, they're on a trickle charger, just because there's always some type of draw. We also have some kill switches that we've added to the squads, but again, they're always drawing. Every now and again, we'll get surprised that squads isn't working, and we're going through batteries quite a bit, probably almost a battery a year per squad. And they're not cheap either, they're like $150 a battery.
Michael?
You said you might have to replace the engine in the 2016,
Yeah, it's knocking right now.
like, how much is that? What's the expense to do that?
8,000, 10,000,
Close to 10K.
10,000. I
Do you need a
mean,
new car now?
well, we need new cars now, yeah, but
I mean,
if you guys approve this, then I would ask that I be able to get them to order them as soon as they become available. So I can get them close to the turn of the year as possible, because we're in a waiting, everybody's asking for squad cars. They usually start coming out in September, October, and these are state bids, so you're fighting state bids, and some departments order, like you just said, 15, 20 at a time. And so tomorrow I'd be making a call saying, hey, this has been approved, get me on the list right away.
Sure. Go ahead, Cody.
I'd be 100% with you, Jay, though. I wouldn't want to do a hybrid or too small of a department. I'm all for sustainability and green, but public safety is more important than a secondary battery in a hybrid vehicle.
All right, do I have a motion, or did someone have it?
I'll make a motion to approve the capital improvement for 2 squad cars and not hybrid.
I'll second. All right, I have a motion and a second. Does that include all the added?
You got it, yeah.
Okay. I just wanted to clarify that motion so it's in the minutes correctly. Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed, same. All right, we'll go with the police department server replacement.
Okay, so if you guys remember, you guys bought a brand new server when we bought it, and that was a server that holds all our video, all of that stuff. That is working just fine. We're not at end of life for that. This server holds everything, it's our paperwork stuff, files, reports, photographs, things like that. So it's at end of life. I did talk to our techs and they do think that they could maybe limp it along another year. That's why I put it as a number 2 priority. They could probably extend what happens is that it runs out of support. And all of you that are involved in tech, you get to a support age and then that's it. There's no more support for it. That's why we're at. And just the other day, I got another bomb that our firewall is also at end of life, which the firewall's not nearly as expensive as this. You're talking $2,000-3,000, but nonetheless, I mean, things that need to be replaced because it's really important that we keep all of that safe and secure. So I may have to even come back with that. I've still got to get some quotes and talk to them. But this server basically replaces documents. In essence, it just holds our documents. It's a server that holds our documents.
Did you have your hand up, Cameron?
Yeah, a little bit, yes. Wasn't sure if I was gonna ask a question. I think I know the answer, but, is there any, because this isn't the same file server and stuff that we use for village documents, is there like a really good reason they have to be separate?
You know, for confidentiality and that kind of thing. No one even has access to them. Matter of fact, our techs have to go through some special certification stuff to make sure that they have access to that stuff. And it's really, really important that, I mean, there's some really confidential stuff in those files.
I was like 99% sure that they had to be separate, but I just thought I'd ask.
All right, so I'm gonna play the dumb guy here when it comes to technology. I thought everybody's going away from servers and going to the cloud.
Yeah, there's
So is there a reason why we're not going to the cloud? And I wouldn't be able to ask the right questions on that, but maybe Cameron knows a little bit more about that, but because I just know that's where it seems like everybody's headed, to the cloud, because you don't have the storage problem.
I think the answer, I mean, what I've learned is there are some other systems that we have options to go to the cloud. It's the yearly maintenance fee of the cloud that's expensive, not so much, it's not free. So there's a fee to maintain that stuff in the cloud, and then who has access to them? You know, because now you're given, I mean, picture it like a cloud, now you're putting it out there and someone else has to control it. So you have to have policies and how to protect that and who has access to it, because it's now up there and someone is, like, for instance, we use a system called Trax, which you may have used. So now Trax is going to cloud based. We won't even have to, like the open record request would go to them. They would facilitate all crash reports. So because they're cloud based. So something like this, I don't know if you'll ever really want to, as a village, give up control of a server that you can control. You know, that's yours and only yours.
I don't know, but I always thought, at least what I've read, supposedly the cloud is more secure than servers. I mean, I'm not a techie by any stretch of the imagination. Yeah.
I think Cameron can probably answer.
It depends how they're managed and stuff, right? But a local file server always has the potential to be substantially more secure than the cloud. But I mean, obviously, if you have, you know, I don't know, the IT people who are managing it, if they're not, you know, the firewall isn't configured correctly, or they got to open up to too much stuff on the outside, then yes, then there is more risk than if you would have went with a cloud-based thing. But the local thing is always going to have higher potential for being a lot safer. In fact, the company I work for offers an on-prem product and a cloud-based product, and we have a lot of federal customers in particular who go with that on-prem product because of the extra security that they can put around it.
And you more quickly can identify a problem, because now it's controlled in that server. So, you know, a lot of our techs can see that a lot easier than.
But help me out, we don't back that up every day, do we?
It's backing up quite often.
And where is the backup
It
kept?
goes into the server. It's backing up from our systems.
What my understanding again is where the cloud is, if you have a natural disaster here where all of a sudden this building burns up and the server burns up with it, we still have the records, because the records are not kept on that server, they're on a different
I
site.
think our server has a cloud-based backup. Like the.
Yeah.
villages.
That's my only thing, because, you know, like with Madison, we back it up and it's at the water utility or backup. Every 24 hours it backs up and it's a different site
I'm sure there's a backup component to our server.
to another server somewhere else. Okay.
You should ask the techs, just based on the quote, it does have RAID, which means if like one of the hard drives goes. That will be fine, you can replace that and you won't lose any data. But I don't see anything in here to account for what Jay said, if the building goes up in flames or there's a massive flood or something, all of it goes, you might lose all of it. So again, and the IT service could have their own thing they're doing, you know.
I know
outside
that
of this quote. You should
they
ask.
must do a lot of offsite stuff because a lot of it is remote work, like they work offsite and they can change passwords and things.
Yeah.
From not in here, so I'm sure that
I
there's.
would just ask that we check into that. If we're gonna go with our server, that there's a backup somewhere.
They might be taking a snapshot of it daily or whatever and have it encrypted and storing it somewhere else, and that would be the way to go, but.
Once I find out about this backup, do you guys want an email or do you want me to just let Brian know when that's it?
I guess it was just
Info?
yeah, point of concern or something.
I'm sure there's a backup somehow there.
Yeah, I would just,
I think that there's an assumption, sometimes when I deal with the tech world, they just assume that we all know.
oh, yeah.
And so, but I'm sure if I ask this question, they're gonna be like, duh. And you know, of course we have a back team, so I'll get to the bottom.
If you want me to talk, I don't know if I'd be enough, but I could at least understand what they're saying or whatever, so that they're talking like everyone knows what's going on.
They're pretty good to deal with, so I think they be able to explain it.
Go ahead, Michael.
I have a quick question. So we have a different server for the body cam than this one for the document.
Body cam squad video,
Body cam squad video,
digital stuff, yeah.
absolutely, well, it's all digital. So,
Yeah.
but, is there any way to upgrade the other ones so that you do these two have to be separate?
I think they maintain them separate for open record purposes, like that's our server for body cams, squad videos that we obtain from, like, let's say Quick Trip, which we get a lot of Quick Trip video. So something happens at Quick Trip, we get that video, we put it all in that secured server, and that's all maintained there. The other stuff is more document based. And we do a lot of scanning now, so we hardly keep any hard copies of anything.
Right, but it could all go on one server is what I'm
It
saying.
doesn't fit. You've gotta leave space for that server of, with the body cams. And I mean, you're talking, I mean, that takes up space and we have to maintain that for a minimum of 120 days by state law. We do 180 to make sure that we don't miss something or something gets mislabeled or whatever. So it just, you probably could extend it, but most departments have that separate, like one server specifically for their, you know, videos and stuff, and another one for their paper files.
Okay, I was just asking, because this is just asking for a 4 terabyte hard drive. Like, if you were just gonna put a 4 terabyte hard drive on the other server, it could probably not need a whole other server. You just need a hard drive is what I'm saying.
4 terabytes is a lot, though. It's a lot of space.
4 terabytes not really.
Well,
a ton.
for paper.
Well, yeah, I would, but I'm just saying, it's like, I was just reading it, it's a 32 gigabyte, 4 terabyte server for $8,000. It seems like a lot of money for. I mean, I know it's a server, so it's gonna be much more robust, but if we had already we purchased one a few years ago, I just needed a little bit extra. Hard drive room, you can isolate things on servers probably very easily, I would imagine.
I think that's just the way they've always maintained it. And so I think that's what they feel comfortable. The techs have worked on that for years here, so I think that's how they replaced it. That was replaced 5 years ago here.
Which one?
That server. So this is on this is 5 years.
Right, but he's talking about the one we did 2 years ago.
Yeah, that one's still, and obviously that one's in good shape. Adding to it, I didn't even ask that. I didn't even know that could be an option, to be honest with you.
That server could easily have extended hard drive data inside of it where you just put in and then you just go into the operating system, usually partition the two so that they function as two complete separate systems on the exact same server. Like they're look completely different, even though they're physically on the same machine. Ideas.
I think I would agree with Michael, it's possible, but like, I don't know specs of the video server, so I mean, like, I'm not, you know, do they have the hard drive bays? And, you know, or special.
There's gotta be a reason why they've always maintained it separate, because architects have always been like they're pretty cost conscious. If, you know, every time we've asked them for something, even when if you remember when we did the body cams, they came in and they really were cost effective and trying to explain those things. So there's gotta be a reason why they've always maintained them separately. However, like I said, this is not, I mean, it's not a one, like the squads was a one. You guys wanted to wait and have some of these questions answered. I mean, I don't have, it didn't seem like they were like, oh my God, you gotta get to a server. The server with the video, when you guys replaced that was nearly 10 years old. And that was really outdated with the squad video. So when we asked them to add now the body cam video, they were like, absolutely, you should not do that because you're really putting yourself at risk. So now that one is up to date. I mean, it's 2 years old already, but this one is, it's about time.
Do you sell the old one?
I think we destroyed the old one. But we still have actually the video one, we still have that one. That one is, it's shut down, but there's still video on it. We don't just
Put a magnet across
Well,
that destroys everything?
When I worked with, City of Eau Claire. But we would take the hard drives and we would destroy them. And then we would sell the rest of the stuff, so people we'd auction off but you wouldn't get that much for them. It was thousands of dollars, it'd be maybe couple hundred of them.
I kind of like where Michael's brain is at, though, like, is this something you could explore?
Yeah, if you were gonna ask, or you're gonna ask them a question about something, about the backup, could you ask them the possible future, could these two servers be combined into one at some point? I'm not saying like now, like, or.
So my recommendation would be, why don't you could not table it, because then we don't want you to kill it, but maybe I could answer some of these questions and bring in also, if there's still time at the next meeting, bring in some of these answers, whether we could just extend the one we currently have for server to handle both. You just extend that and see what that saves you. And then also do we need to update the firewall, so then I could bring in a separate quote for that, and then you have a better understanding.
Yeah, we can, I would say then let's have a motion to postpone this discussion until next month. Would that give you enough time?
Yep, so backup is question 1 and 2, whether we can combine the server somehow.
Yeah.
Might even be beneficial depending on the needs of the backup thing, it's even cheaper to back up the own system than it is to back up 2 systems. So if you could just extend,
Okay.
I'm starting to like Michael's idea, unless there's probably something I'm not thinking.
Yeah, I mean, there might be.
That's what I get. Second,
Yeah, maybe there could be different open.
I can help you with Mars, but I have nothing.
Can I have that motion, please?
I'll make the motion that we postpone the 2024 capital improvement project discussion on the police department server replacement to the next meeting.
if I had one to take, I would have got it.
All right. So I have a motion and a second. Any other?
Oh, yeah.
I got a second, okay, any discussion? All right, all in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed, same. All right,
Sorry, Tony.
Yeah.
here we go. D.
You got your spots, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, the squads.
Yeah, the big one, Raleigh shirt.
So we have Parks Department, Bear Park, large baseball diamond update.
All right, so in front of you is a request for funding for an update on a large diamond. This update would include staff and or people using the facility to hold visioning sessions and understand what is really needed and wanted for the facility, and update the conceptual plans and final renderings for the project.
Okay, my only question is, why aren't we taking the funds out of the Bear Park improvement?
We could, it could be taken from you guys would decide that, obviously, in your.
Yeah, okay.
So I don't know exactly how much is in there currently, but.
That's it, was just
There's
30,000?
definitely, yeah, there's definitely.
What is that funding? That's all I'm asking is what funding are we talking
Well, we,
about?
the users of that pay into making improvements. We set that money, I think this fits, you know, home talent, baseball program, they've all been paying into this, so. That money, I think that money should be used to improve the diamond. So that's what I was talking about, because I thought in here it said geo borrowing, and I thought, well, let's just use, why don't we use the Bear Park improvement? All right, go ahead, Doug.
I'm in favor of using the Bear Park improvement funds.
Okay. Any questions for Mike? He laid it out pretty good with sodding the infield, the backstop, the netting.
Yeah, I think this has been on the plan for, you know, this is.
Yeah.
I think this is like the sixth or seventh time
Yeah.
we're on it.
Where's Stan going? Stan, how many times has come here?
We were hoping someone was gonna come in and donate like they did the small diamond.
But I don't say,
It could happen.
I've asked about that at the small diamond, I get complaints because it lacks amusement. Well, that happened over here.
No, and I think doing this, that's the type of information we want during the visioning session from some of the baseball players. That's why the planning of it is so important, and getting it out to the community to see beforehand, making sure that that's the right thing to do.
Thank you. Wow.
And I have heard complaints about that, sorry, I have heard complaints about that, but I've heard from coaches that they love how it's set up.
There's a
reason for it.
there's a lot of pros
Especially
with
for
that.
the small kids.
When you get
Very,
a-
very, it's very, very nice to have them continue from.
No, I think people would like a fence just so they can see through.
Oh, I understand, and we can move some bleachers down the line,
Right.
and we should close the, yeah.
That's the only way.
No, it's nice because the kids have to look forward, right? And parents can sit here or over here or down the baseline.
Should get something for football.
Yeah.
All right, Cameron, you wanted to say something?
My only question was, cause I saw that it's like in the next year, there's like actual. In the SIP for like actually doing the replacement work, and this is only my second year, we've been kicking that, just. Those two things down. Okay.
Correct. So it doesn't it doesn't hold you to next year's capital for the construction aspect. As obviously that could be moved, but we'd actually have a plan for now, so if it would fit into our capital, we'd be able to move forward with construction.
So I think I want my motion to say, to make a motion to approve the Bear Park large diamond updates planning using the Bear Park funds.
I'll second, fine.
Rather than
Okay.
Bear-
All right, so I have a motion and a second discussion. All in favor, say aye. All opposed, same. All right. E, Parks Department, Scenic Valley Park Plan.
And it looks like Brian may put a couple of these in there.
So-
I'm glad you're clarifying that, because I couldn't tell if there were two parks going in or just two.
No, I think the next one's actually supposed to be the gem one and this.
Yeah.
This one, but that's okay. I sent him in the gem one too, so we'll have it up there at least. I sent him the gem one. However, this is, so Scenic Valley is the new development out of KP. We came up with a policy for them last year, that once we get to 50% of the dwelling units that have taken out construction permits, that we begin the planning phase, for the park itself. And we are almost to that part, almost to that phase, so I have it in for the 2024 budget. The money that is spent on this would come directly out of the park improvement fund, so every dwelling unit that goes to construct, puts in $1,561.93. So we would be using, I put 15,000, I think it actually be less with new construction.
But we're using the funds we're collecting.
Correct, so it wouldn't actually,
Right.
no, no.
Right, thank you.
All right, do I have a motion?
Make the motion to use the funds for the Scenic Valley Park Planning and Engineering of, the funds for the park impact fees.
Second.
I have a motion and a second, any discussion? Oh, go ahead.
Now, with this being done. Is you're having architecture do it, so it's the engineering work, or whomever.
Yeah, whomever.
Okay.
Yeah. So that was just a quote that we had received.
Right, okay.
Or-
In years past for other parks, do you do engineering work, like the big one on Bourbon, do we do engineering and then an implementation of that?
Playground?
Yeah,
We wouldn't necessarily do it for the playground because that would be done by the playground manufacturer. However, we didn't have any other infrastructure to put in there, so we didn't have to do any engineering or stormwater.
So that's what the engineering is for the park is to make sure it's graded correctly. So I'm just trying to make sure like why this can't just be like you, the parks committee design a playground and put it, why do we spend?
Yeah,
That's what my question is. Like,
just like we would for a street, right? We wanna make sure it's done to the specs that are gonna give it the safest and longest use of space, longest use of time. We're gonna wanna do that for our emergency students as well. It's just that since this is a new, this would be completely new constructed. Park facility.
okay.
And then you wanna do a master plan for that.
And so that's kind of what you're doing with the fair park thing too, when we voted on it, it was kind of like, you're gonna pay somebody to do the planning for the fair park thing as well, like,
Correct, I'm not an engineer.
okay.
I think sometimes when you purchase the service, like if a playground, you can include that they do the engineering, but I think what Mike is talking about is more broad on how it fits into the drainage system and everything else of that land, right?
Correct.
Now, it seems high to me.
Well, that's why.
Yeah,
that's why
it
kind of
seems
like.
high
why
for
can't the
that, but
Parks
I
and Rec Committee figure.
I
out
wasn't
what
sure if this is
failure was.
a multifaceted, where one is to do the grading and on that, then the other was for the playground.
Correct, it's not just your playground.
See, that's
You're
for like
talking-
what's gonna be in the playground, like the visioning for that's more, like.
That part won't,
big.
well, it may be included a little bit with the park planning, because we're gonna listen to that same from the. Different residents are gonna give us what they'd like to see, so we might as well make that part of the conceptual drawing, but it won't be to a T, right? And then that part that we would get in regards from the playground aspect will be free from whoever we choose it to come from, so they won't be doing any engineering. That is not even included in them.
Cameron?
Just to clarify then, so this is not like, this is what the playground is going to look like, we have 2.2 acres, there might be trails here, there might be the playground might go here, there could be a soccer field there, that is the work for that, I think.
Area for parking lot.
Yeah.
The dog park.
Don't you dare.
All right. Did we have a motion already?
Yes.
We did, okay, so we were at this, sometimes I get a little confused. All right, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same, so moved. All right, Parks Department, Polaris gem vehicle.
So looking to update our recreational vehicle, we use around town for our rec staff. This would be going to programs, taking these programs. We currently use the retired public facilities van for such. And we looked to replace that earlier. I think this is done the third or fourth year this banner.
They were trying to get grant.
We're trying to get grant funding. The grant funding changed directions in regards to not being able to use vehicles for such anymore. So that grant's gone, however, I feel like with going green, that technology, there may be some other grants out there. I have not been able to write any that happen at this point, but this would be a do not succeed number. I'd love to bring this down, obviously.
Okay, I'm just, it seems like this vehicle replacing a van is not comparable in the sense that a van can carry 7 people. It's enclosed, so your equipment doesn't get wet. If it's snowing or raining, this is open, so I guess it just seems like, yeah.
You're not wrong. It would be changing avenues.
Okay,
I feel like this would serve just as many purposes. Van actually from time to time is too small for whatever. I know like our jump house thing didn't fit in there. There's been a lot of things that fit, so I feel like this may just having an open bed.
Okay.
Would be better. They also obviously still have my truck that we take from different places, but for our rec staff, our previous rec staff often use their own vehicles instead of using the van because their vehicles are bigger. One of the rec staff's vehicles got damaged from it at one point, so we tried to go with always using the rec van for things, but I also feel like Becky uses this vehicle, and she uses the red van to read meters, and this could serve that purpose as well.
And have you checked in on how much charging station and where it would be?
For this, we would not need a charging station.
Oh.
We could actually run it from our 110 service right in, and it would charge overnight. For what the battery, lifespan is. However, yeah, if you ran it all day.
And this can also be used for plowing or.
No, this wouldn't be used for any plowing purposes.
What is the maximum range on it?
Yeah, I could get
I was just-
next one.
My electric, I mean, this is obviously smaller, but my electric car takes like, just charging in 110 takes like.
Yeah,
48 plus hours.
How many?
48 plus hours, but I imagine this doesn't have the same capacity batteries and range and all that stuff that, because I have like a normal size car or whatever, so.
The city of Manoa's had this, they've had one for probably over 5 years now, and they charge it on the 110 every night, it charges fully for the next day. So charging the curve on it's a lot quicker, obviously there's a lot less.
Yeah.
I think the max speed on this thing is 24 miles an hour.
But yeah, I mean, I'm guessing the batteries are smaller, so I mean, if that's fine, that's fine. You could consider going to level 2, that's a lot cheaper, because that's just the same thing that, you know, they plug dryers into. But 240 or 220 or
220.
so. Yeah.
All right, any other questions?
So you aren't gonna apply for any grants for this, or?
I most definitely would if I would find some that would account for it. There definitely are green structured plan or grants out there, but I haven't seen any that are directly related to vehicle. It's more like solar, going solar on buildings and stuff like that.
So does Focus on Energies, do they reimburse on some of this stuff? They used to. On anything like
I didn't see anything.
I was just asking Michael since he's been working with Focus on Energy.
I don't know if you.
Okay. At one time they did.
Yeah.
I'd make the motion, I don't know to follow it, but it's not on.
Yeah, it's called the Polaris Gem.
Okay.
The other side of this is that when I did this build out, it doesn't allow me to do it through the state bid, but I know that there is a state bid through Polaris that we may be able to do even cheaper. It's just you don't want to do it without actually going through the board form. So I think they may end up being less. than this.
That's the gallery cost.
Yeah,
So I'll make a motion to accept the Polaris Gem vehicle for $30,000.
I'll second.
All right, I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Cameron?
Maybe this is not worth, but do we want to consider amending the motion just to give Mike the power to kind of find a vehicle under 30 that fits his needs or whatever, instead of it being specifically a particular one, or is that kind of out of bounds? I don't know.
Well, that would be up to Mike. This is what he's asking for, so.
Right, well, I was trying to. was
Yeah, no,
trying to
I get what
just
you're
in
saying.
case, you know.
you mean so I didn't have to come back like I did for the truck?
Well, you know, that, or I don't know, if this
Truck
truck
we
was out of
spent on it?
stock and now you don't have anything, you need something desperately, just, you know, as long as you're not spending more than 30, I guess. You can.
I would just come back to you like I did
Okay.
last time.
All right, any other discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same. Thank you, Mike. All right, we're on G, Public Works Department, annual street resurfacing. Gary?
That's our annual street maintenance program that we do. We did not put a dollar amount in there for conversations with Jay, a couple of months ago at our staff meeting. We're gonna wait and see where the finances are and drop a number in once there was a number established.
Cameron?
So what's the 240 there?
That's our base that we usually do.
Well, that's the last couple of years we have worked at that number.
Like a placeholder.
Actually, not 2023.
Right.
2021 and 2022.
Yeah, we didn't do anything this year for this because we did Brewery Road, Park Street, and the bridge. We figured that kind of covered streets. Pretty good. So right now, what's on there is the 240.
But
Yeah.
It was my understanding we were gonna wait till we saw what the total of capital items were and how much you wanted to borrow. Is that to fill it? Yeah.
No, I would put this through and then we're gonna have, we were gonna vote on all this again in November, so it'll give us some time to figure out where we're at. So this would, to me, this is a minimum, and this is just to try to keep the worst streets.
This is for the capital improvement plan, doesn't necessarily mean this will be the number in the budget.
Right. Right, correct.
I'll make the motion to accept the resurfacing for a minimum of 240. Capital improvement plan.
I'll second.
All right, I have a motion and a second, any discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, same, so moved. Okay, we're on, lawn tractor and attachment replacement.
Yeah, the old simplicity is, experiencing failure. Four-wheel drive started, some bearing issues this summer. This is what I'm proposing to replace it. Primary use at this point in time is, will be snow removal, sidewalks. This, what I'm proposing, would be light enough, we could use this on the boardwalks also. Right now, we're a little short on equipment for cleaning boardwalks. If we end up going with, in-house mowing, it's not finalized yet, but will be hopefully within the next couple months. This could be used as the backup mower in case the primary mower broke down, had to go to the shop for a few days. This unit could be used for that replacement. It's not as efficient as a zero turn for lawnmower, but it would work. So we could save one mower purchase to accommodate the in-house lawn for green space.
Judy?
Do we go to Kelchers for this? We stay local, right?
Kelchers currently does not have a product that meets this. Will they have something by next year? They may. John Deere and Kubota both do. Nobody knows what new pricing is. Nobody knows what the final catalog is gonna be. It's still too early. They're not getting numbers yet from corporate.
Is this the vehicle that you put the snow blower on and the sweeper and brush hog?
No, that's the Ventrac is what you're referring to.
Okay.
This has been the backup unit for the Ventrac. And the secondary unit when I have enough staff to get a second person out on sidewalks.
Oh, okay.
Is the vehicle, you're talking about the one that we do every 2 years with Kelchers?
No, that's
That-
skid steer.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, I'm learning. All right, I guess I don't know if I've ever seen this one or not.
And since we've gotten the Ventrac, this one has not been out on the streets much. We pull around the little sprayer for spraying weeds in the summertime with it.
Oh, okay.
So.
Is this available through like a state fleet program purchasing?
I have no idea.
What we're gonna look at or look into or whatever.
I've always operated under the guise of, if possible, buy local. And that's what I've always done. I've never explored the state bid process.
That's where should
Well,
I mean,
technically, our policy is gonna say that and something at 65,000. We should get 3 bids. I mean, that's what our policy says. I don't know if this falls under the state law that requires it over 25,000, or that's just construction. I don't know how that would. I'd have to reread the state law, but. But our policy, I'm pretty sure when we reviewed it, if it's over 25,000 or 10,000, we're supposed to do 3 bids.
Well, normally, even if we have a local supplier, I get other pricing just to make sure that
Yeah.
nobody's jerking my leg,
Right, right.
but, if at all possible, I try to buy it in town.
Okay, do I have a motion?
I'll make the motion to accept the lawn tractor and attachment replacement for 65,000 in the 2024 capital improvement fund.
I'll second. All right, I have a motion and a second. Any more discussion? So just so I know, the current one we haven't been using, but if we get a new one, then that'll be added and it'll be getting more use. That's what I'm just.
Part of the reason we haven't been using it is I haven't had anybody to put on the seat.
Okay. Yeah, but now we do. Okay. All right, any other discussion? Cameron?
More curiosity than anything, what is the like vehicle cost versus the attachment cost?
The vehicle, or the prime mover, the power unit, cab, seat, steering wheel was, well, they didn't have actual pricing for 2024 yet, but the estimate based on this 2023 numbers is about 47 to 49 for the prime mover. And then about $5,000 average price for the attachments, some are a few dollars more. So
Yeah. It's the price of the new vehicle.
Yeah, that is how things are going.
All right, we have a motion, any more discussion? All right, all in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed, same. All right, 1-ton dump truck replacement.
Yeah, I wasn't really thinking about this, yet for next year. And then one of the guys went to get in it and stepped on the running board and ended up on the ground. And when they went to reattach the running board that rotted away, there really isn't anything under the cab to attach it to. So this kind of come up out of the blue this fall or this summer. And, yeah, luckily it didn't get hurt when it hit the ground.
I just think it's interesting, you can buy a dump truck for the same price as a lawn tractor. No, for some reason, I don't know if that doesn't make a whole lot of sense. Would be a new one or a used one?
That's a new one.
And what's the market for used ones? Do like companies turn them over every 3-4 years and?
1-ton trucks,
You don't want to use one.
no.
Oh, you don't?
Sounds beat the snot out of it.
Well, for instance, it was a 550, so it's technically the next size up from a 1-ton, the yellow one that we
Yeah.
got rid of and replaced last year. We got right around 20,000. Right.
It was decent.
Yeah, and that was a 2002. Look up small orders there. The demand is greater for used than it is for new, I guess. I don't know.
I think it might be the long wait. I'm not sure you can get that in a year. It might be an 18-month wait for. I don't know,
Well,
finally, we're on 2 years trying to get the fire vehicle and that's a much smaller chassis than this.
Yeah, some things are along the way. The pickup we bought this year, I ordered it right after the first of the year. And we got that,
I saw one on a dump truck like this on Wisconsin bid for $100 starting at. That was on TV.
oh yeah. It started at 100. And then it had 100 bids in the last 5 minutes.
Oh, did you actually look at that? I just thought it was interesting.
I know how those online auctions work. I've had quite a few dealings with them.
It just so happened I was looking at this, that commercial came on. Would you like a dump truck for $100? Thinking, yeah, that.
Yeah, everybody would.
All right, do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve replacing the existing 2008 one-ton dump truck in the capital improvement plan.
Second.
All right, I have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed, same. So moved. All right, brush grappler replacement.
This is the device that goes on the front of either the skid steer or the small utility tractor, the loader that we use for picking up brush. This one is wore out. It's got some safety feature issues. It's been a lifesaver, quite frankly. I attribute a lot of the fact that we have not had any workman's comp claims related to brush pickup, or all of the pickup we did during the flood event, because of this machine. I just like to replace it, get some up-to-date safety features that work, and yeah, continue with what we've been doing. I'll make a motion to approve the grappler pickup.
I'll second that.
All right, I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed, same. Thank you, Jerry.
Well, M, is that gonna be a Jerry thing too?
Yeah, M is me.
Do we wanna just, what is it, like, I don't know, maybe. I don't
I'm
know
gonna
if it's
confuse
late.
Jay.
Yeah.
I just, otherwise we're gonna come back, and he's gonna have to come back up, I don't know.
So we'll be quick.
Yeah,
I'll
K
just-
and L be quick.
Yeah, we'll be good.
Yeah.
I'll just wait.
All right, library water heater replacement.
Yeah, so, the library is just requesting, a new water heater to replace one we have. We've had some leakage and corrosion issues, recently. So we just would like to get that replaced, up to date before we have any more major issues.
I'll make a motion to replace the water heater at the library.
All right, I have a motion and a second. Go ahead, Bobby.
I was just gonna ask for this low dollar amount, is this something we could not borrow for or move to operating and pay out of fund balance? I mean, it's just
Yeah,
not that big.
I was thinking the same thing.
I think even if we could keep it in capital, just pay it out of capital fund balance.
Yeah, I'm fine with that.
Or when we get all the
Yeah,
numbers, we just pick and choose.
I don't know where we
maybe
are.
Yeah, well,
Yes.
I think we can leave how we're gonna fund all these things,
For now.
Okay.
for later, yeah.
I think we did that last year too, didn't we?
Yeah, we did.
Yeah.
Yeah, so this is, actually approved in, just the purchase of it. All right, do we already have a motion?
Yep.
Okay, thank you. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same. All right, library, fire department, portable radio replacement. I don't see the chief here. I was there, basically, it's a 3-year plan to replace all the radios that are becoming outdated. Unlike everything else, radio costs have gone up, so for next year will be the second year of a 3-year plan. It went up and cost would be $36,500.
I thought it was a 2-year plan.
I think it's 2.
Is
I
it?
think, yeah.
Last year.
Sounds like a 2-year cycle.
Yeah.
What's that, an estimated 100,000?
Right.
Right, so that would be 3 years under the old system.
Well, no, we don't pay.
No,
we don't
because
have
we're
to-
separate.
I know we don't pay, but it's,
Yeah.
I'm looking at, I see what you're saying.
Yes.
Okay, maybe it is 2, is it
Yes.
2 years?
Yeah.
Says that there's 2 years.
Yeah, but I don't know if that meant 2 years left, but it doesn't matter.
Second pay.
My only question is if we approve it and the rest don't, like the town of Erie, whatever else, then what happens?
They don't have a choice.
Oh. okay.
That's the problem. We really don't have a choice. We
Yeah.
have an agreement in place that says when the board passes budgetary items, we have to go with it at the percent that is equalized value.
So I'll make a motion that we approve the fire department portable radio replacements.
I have a second.
I'll second.
Any discussion?
I'll note it sounded important at the last fire board meeting because they said Motorola was dropping
Yeah,
support for the chips and stuff they had, so the things are just gonna like completely stop working, so, I mean, on top of that, we don't have a choice.
No, but it's, I don't have any, I mean, it's,
Yeah.
they need to,
No, I know.
update it, and you know how technology is, so it needs to be. Yeah,
Just trying to be transparent.
yeah. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same. All right, we're at the water department repainting, water reservoir.
So this has been in the capital improvement plan now already for 3 or 4 years. The DNR requires that water reservoirs be inspected every 20 years at a minimum. And then following that inspection, any painting, repairs, whatever needs to be done. As we did this year, earlier this year, we got our inspection done. The inspector's recommendation does recommend painting. We, due to limited amount of contractors and scheduling, the earliest we can get it done is 2024. Town and Country is currently working on the bid specs, so we'll be hopefully going out to bid in the next couple of months to get on a schedule for 2024. Well, the best news out of it is that we're gonna, when we do get painted in 2024, we'll actually have gotten about 24 and a half, almost 25 years out of the current paint job. So we gained 5 years on the DNR because of timing issues.
The only question I have on this, and I guess I misunderstood when we did it, I have no idea why this can't be covered by our grant through the Safe Drinking Water. This is so tied to the water system, and we were able to update the wells and everything else on it. Why is this not included? And I know that I should have.
Yeah, you would get a better answer from Brian, and I would suggest you send him an email with that question. But I think it's the fact that it's maintenance, not replacement. And I could be wrong.
No. Yeah, no, but this is gonna be borrowed by the water utility, correct? So we just went through an adjustment of rates.
I think it's included in the,
No, it's included
in the rate
new
case.
structure.
The new rates will be able to repay this loan.
Yeah.
We can't use the DNR loan.
Well, we'd have to repay the DNR loan anyways from the rates. That's why I thought it was all grouped into one. And that's what the rate case was based on, the borrowing from those two funds.
The future expenses listed in that rate case included this.
Yeah.
But it's not part of the bar, the current, the 2022 or the 2023 bar.
No,
Interesting. All right.
You wanna postpone it until?
No, that, because that'll be just the paid for.
Oh, yeah.
I'll ask
Yeah.
Brian at the next staff meeting. And you're probably, maybe that's it, they consider it maintenance. I would think
I
a
think
dollar of
that-
that, I can understand them not wanting to do it for clean, something at $5,000, but $500,000? And they're requiring it? I mean, come on. But anyway,
Just like every other new mandate that comes down the pipe every week. Something comes along that all of a sudden we're required to do because the EPA said so, and then the state of Wisconsin adopts it. And they just keep shoving it down to our level and they don't put any funding with it.
Okay, do I have a motion?
Make the motion to accept the repainting of the water reservoir for $500,000 in 2024 capital improvement plan.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same. All right, for number 6, it really should be 2025 to 2028, because we just went through the 2024. So the question is, how much time do you want to spend on this, or it's an information and we can't dictate what a future board's gonna do, so. It's more there to give you an idea of what's coming down the road there.
I
So-
appreciate your information.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah, Cameron.
I do have a question. It seems like a lot of our capital improvements this year, were reactionary to, something breaking or whatever, which, again, is there some point where, maybe this isn't a capital improvement plan thing, I don't know, where you start to budget a certain amount for vehicles or whatever every year. Especially with interest rates going up and stuff, it's not so easy just to say, well, we're gonna borrow for this thing, we're gonna borrow.
No, you could do that, but you understand that comes out of operating, because we're certainly not gonna borrow to put money in the bank where we're paying
Right,
6-7% and
so
getting.
that would be in the capital improvement stuff, that would be a conversation to have.
If you wanted to build a reserve thing, then yeah, it would have to come out of.
Yeah, legally, we can't borrow money and just sit on it. You
Right,
have to
yeah,
spend it in a certain amount of time, and they require you to say this is what we're borrowing for. Like,
Okay, I just didn't know.
No, but your idea, now what we can do though, is you can say that, and we've kind of done it a little bit with benefits, retirement benefits. We put money in that budget and said, if there's surplus, it goes into the following years to cover the same thing. We could do something like that, but it gets really complicated then. I think what we do here is we look at what we can afford to borrow and what are the priorities, and then we borrow them. But I hear what you're saying, but it's not like us where we can save for something. Here, there's just restrictions.
Right.
And it would come out of operating, which I'm not sure we want to do since we're so close to the cap.
Yeah, I don't know, I'm just, it was a lot easier to be reactionary to this thing,
Yeah.
interest rates were.
Oh, absolutely. I
3% and
Yeah.
whatnot.
Yeah, no, I agree, but I think the painting of this is, I would consider that prevent, I think.
That-
Future building of the village hall is looking into the future.
I was thinking the squad cars,
Yeah.
the truck that had the bottom breakout, all that kind of thing, anyway, just something to think about.
No, it's,
I have proposed numerous times in the past with the board to go with a certain piece of equipment has an expected lifetime of X. When it reaches that point, it's traded off, new and replaced. There are a few communities around that do it. Baraboo is real good about it. But it's never been.
Right. Well, and
The avenue
makes
to-
sense. for one.
yeah, the avenue to do that, and again, we'd have to say, is using depreciation. You depreciate your asset like we do with sewer. And I don't know, water, do we do depreciation or is it just sewer?
Yeah, there's depreciation.
Yeah, that, as you saw, it builds, because you're allowed to do that with an enterprise. All right, so, discussion and possible action of 2025 to 2028 village capital improvement plan. Do I have a motion to accept, what was presented?
So moved.
Do I have a second? All right, so I have a motion and a second to approve the 2025 to 2028 village capital improvement plan. Any discussion? Cameron?
Hopefully this isn't too much of an elementary question, but, like, I guess it's hard for me to like look at this and be like, what can we afford and what can we not afford and all that stuff. I mean, this one is, I was looking last year, we put 1.4 million in the capital improvement. This is 1.5, so I mean, it's not so much more, but then like looking at, the next year is close to 6 with the village hall and stuff, so I don't know. Anyway, I don't know, do we have an answer or a way to answer?
But I'm not sure what the question is.
Is there, what point did you screw up and it's way too much and you can't afford it? I
No,
guess?
but that's the whole thing that when we did Village Hall, we know in 2025, we're closing out on some major debt. So if it stays at 4.5, now with this, we should be able to pay for it without raising debt service from what we
The
did.
1.5.
No,
Okay.
the 6 million.
Okay.
At the time, I think it was 5.5 something. So there is a planning process in there, but you have to look at the finance part of it. And that's why we plan to do this in 2025. And as Bobby told you earlier, we may be able to close out the TIF. So we're looking at that because that'll bring in more revenue. So that's when you plan for some of your bigger ones. You know what I mean? You try to balance the spending with what you're gonna get in change in revenue or retiring debt.
Let's say, change in debt payments.
Yeah,
Would be the big
it would be
thing.
one, but the TIF is gonna be huge.
That's not a debt service thing?
No, that'll bring
Oh, we
all
don't
the
need
money
it.
that's been paying off the TIF
I'm sorry.
is now gonna come to us, the school district, the county.
God, you wouldn't think this was my second year at this. So-
Well, no, you gotta just, it's looking at big picture all the time and looking out, and that's why we went with the SIP. Because staff and everybody, we can kind of look and marry the high years, and if you look when we do the borrowing. Like this last one, even though I wasn't really in favor, where we paid off 130,000 of it in the first year, then it dropped down to like 20,000 every year. Cause he's adjusting it, so our debt service doesn't have these big spikes.
What comes off next year then out of debt service? Is it the sewer? That's,
Well, the sewer plant comes off in 2025, so,
This is Main Street, I believe.
yeah, Main Street,
I was asking, I'm sorry, for the SIP.
yeah,
Next year where we paid for the 4.5 million. Or-
yeah, I think it's Main Street is paid off.
Okay, and so then,
Yeah, it's like a 10-year loan.
Okay.
Done paying that off.
And like the sewer, and I'm hoping we'll be able to really adjust sewer rates because the cost will go down $400,000 a year.
Right.
That we're paying for the sewer plant.
so that doesn't fall off till next year, but
2025.
yeah.
I think-
What year is it right now? Is it 5 years? Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
We're doing this at work too, where we're doing 2024 stuff, so next year to me is already.
Yeah,
2025.
right. All right,
Sorry, thank you.
no, that's all right. All right, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same. All right, so number 7, you ended up getting the operating base budget and supplementary requests. We will have that discussion next month. Bobby and Bobby actually came up with it. We kind of made it a little simpler looking at the base budget, so you don't have to page through 60 pages. And then the subs are pretty straightforward on the cost and why and stuff, so. Review that, and if you have questions, feel free to contact staff ahead of time. So that's what we'll be doing, and then we'll get the wage thing for October. Yes, Cameron?
I thought last year oh, never mind, I think, okay, we basically did the same thing we did right now with the SIP, except it'll be, okay, I'm sorry, I thought.
No, yeah, it's the same thing. The only difference is Bobby did kind of a spreadsheet to condense instead of going through the whole budget and looking at it.
Yeah, so instead of getting a binder that you're flipping through, this is a very condensed report. So you can see, their village board, you can look in the far right column, there's a 1% increase, that's what we were, So it's just a little cleaner where you can look by department and see, even if you go to the last page, you know, but then general fund. I think it's a 0.9, it's a 1%, it's a 90. 0.9% increase. So just showing that we're staying within the parameters of the grants.
Yep. So I guess any future agenda items? All right, do I have a motion for adjournment?
So moved.
Second. All right, all in favor, say aye. Don't want to take off. I gotta get you your magazine, but because I'm pulling out of my mailbox. Otherwise there'd be no little.
Favorite motion.